for this example, we will be using the Nikon B500 Coolpix. It has approximately a weight of 1 kilogram, and that's what we will be using for our sample. So then, giving an overview of the gimbal, we have the gimbal here. In front of the gimbal, which is probably the side which will be facing you the most, we have a small LED screen over here to display what function the gimbal is doing. And over here we have a joystick for controls. We have the record button, we have the mode, and if you turn on the side, you will see the slot for the charger, the female port, and we have a zoom joystick over here, zooming in and zooming out. And over here we have also a click button, and this click button changes the functions as we proceed into the business. And over here we have the power button, which you just need to push and hold up, and here we have the menu button, and you can see the gimbal is fully closed. And for you to release the gimbal, you unlock from here, and this arm is being released. You see, this axis is being released, which is something nice. If you want to close back, close, and you see, not moving anymore. Next, we want to release this axis, so we unscrew this ball. When we untie this ball and we put up, see what happens? This axis is unlocked. Now the first step is we pick up our tripod, we mount the bottom of the gimbal nicely, and we open up the tripod to the default position, and we place the gimbal on the floor. Assuming that everything stays stable and our ground is stable at having a unique level, we know everything is moving partially well. So what next? We pick up the ball over here and the mount. So we have the mount, which is being fastened onto the camera and to be slotted onto the gimbal. In an upside down position, this is a proper way of holding the camera, yes. Now when you hold in an upside down position, the slot, which is this, should be facing the position, the section where the camera is having the power button. In that case, it has to look like this. Then we fasten the camera onto the bigger slot. If you can see, we have a smaller one here and we have a bigger one here. So we fasten the cameras onto the bigger ones, and the mobile phones and the GoPro onto the smaller slots. So what do? We screw this up to fasten. We fasten this nicely. So we have it fastened onto the camera. And what next? We get closer with the gimbal and slot this into the gimbal. From here, we press this so as to release the passage of the slot. If not, the slot can go in, because if you look keenly here, you see this surface? It's a square which protects the camera from falling off, even if you didn't fasten with the screw. Now we slot the camera into the gimbal nicely. Now that we have a camera into the gimbal, as you can see, the gimbal is not stable. Why? Because the weight of the camera has not yet been balanced. If you can take a good look, the gimbal isn't stable. You see, the weight of the camera is more on one side. So how do we do to solve this problem? It's simple and easy. Very simple and very easy. So what do we do? So what do we do to make this stable? It's simple and easy. Very, very simple and very, very easy. You see, the gimbal is not stable because the camera has a lot of weight, and we need to make sure that we regulate this weight so that the camera won't face any problem on the gimbal. So what do? We try to regulate. We're trying to regulate. So you let the gimbal face you and you unlock, so we can have the camera spinning around 360. And next, we let this axis to face us. When this axis faces us, we try to stabilize the gimbal by first turning on the camera. You see, the camera is turned on. If I have to turn it off, you see, the camera is turned off. Now, we must turn on the camera before we stabilize it on the gimbal. If not, we will have some weight being impacted on one of the axes, because the more the lens comes out, then it has to put some weight on another side. So when we turn on the camera, then we are working with the approximate weight which we are going to use. So now what do? We come first on this axis to make sure the camera is balanced. We push down nicely, and you can see, if you look, the camera is weighing on this side. That means there's more weight on the camera from this side. So we have to push the gimbal towards this side slowly. If you take a good look, you will still find the same situation. Keep pushing till you find a stable situation. Okay, now we have a stable situation. If you have to roll the gimbal nicely, you see, it's at a stable situation. And now, what next? Since we have to do some pan follow, we have to use the gimbal to view some object in this way, we have to set this axis to make sure it can hold the camera at this stage. If not, if we have to set everything down and make it, now we do a default position where we will have the gimbal telling us there's an axis lock. So you onboard the camera. There's a level here. You bring the camera down and you try to regulate the camera. If you want to adjust the setting of the camera to make sure it's vertical, it's horizontally straight and vertically straight, what do? You unbolt where you mount the camera on the slot and try to shift the camera behind. You see, it's almost getting to a stable situation. Means there's more weight in front of the camera than behind. And what next? You push the camera again behind to see the situation. You see, it's getting a little bit better. You push again a little bit. As you can see, the camera is vertically and horizontally straight. You see that? vertically and horizontally straight. So we have our camera like this. Then you tied it up to make sure it doesn't move. You tie the screw here, you tie the one underneath, and this as well, you tie it up because this is a stable situation. Now we have our camera at this point, moving nicely, not weighing on one side more than the other. So if we have to turn this camera on, I will show you what problem we will have. We will not be able to use this axis because our camera's weight, it's very heavy if this axis have to move up. Now if you don't know this, you will never find it out. So let's turn our gimbal on. So over here we have the power button, over here we have the menu button. So we just hold and push up the power button for some 2 seconds, and now it's show coming on. You see the LD screen, pen follow, and now what happened? You see the gimbal. Now if I have to turn the gimbal to the right, it follows with the camera. If I have to turn the gimbal to the right, it follows with the camera. You see? Now, what is the pen follow? Pen follow means penning. It's you're moving right, or you're moving left, or you're moving back, or you're moving down, front, or you move down, or you move up. Now, the pen follow means where you pending, anywhere you are pending, the camera pens with you. It follows you. Now, if I have to pen to the right, it follows. You see, the camera is following. Now if I have to rotate to the left, the camera follows. If I'm rotating to the right, rotate to the left, the camera follows. If I rotate to the right, the camera follows with me. Now if I have to pen down, that is, I want to look down with the camera. Now if I pen down like this, the camera doesn't follow me. The camera remains vertically stable and horizontally. Vertical and horizontal, that is the XY articulations do not interfere with the camera when you are penning like this. That's taking a nice shot from below or from above. You see, the camera remains stable. See, whether you're going down or you're going up, the camera remains stable. And now, what next? There is an option which you can use so that you can actually follow up when you want the camera to follow you. Now it's called the follow mode, and for you to access the follow mode, you just press the button behind the screen one time. See, it's on the follow mode. See, F. That's the follow mode. Now what happens on the follow mode? Now I have my camera at the stable position. Now if I have to move and face down, you see, the camera goes with it. And what happened? The camera couldn't meet it because what? There's a lot of weight. That's why the camera had to display. You see, we're going down and the camera will release because this axis was not set when we were mounting up the device on the gimbal. And that is a very nice example using the follow. You see, it's trying to bring it back, but it releases because there's a lot of weight down. Underneath the axis, there's a lot of weight, so it cannot hold. So it keeps trying to stabilize this thing. Now it's putting the camera up and it releases because the weight is too much for it. And now there's another mode. For you to release the follow mode, you just press this once again and it goes to the pan follow mode, and we're back into the pan follow mode. Now when we rotate left, it go, we rotate right, it follows. And now what next? We go to the mode. We have a mode button over here. Now when we press the mode button one time, it goes to the lock mode, and the lock mode is something very, very amazing. The lock mode is when you want to really point at a single direction where you don't want any distraction from your side. Now with the lock mode, if I have to lift up the camera from the ground and I happen to tilt the arm to the left, the camera doesn't change. It points at the same direction. If I tilt to the right, the camera doesn't change. Points at the same direction. If I have to go down, the camera doesn't follow me. You see? it keeps facing at that side. Now if I have to click this once, it goes to point of view. And what is the point of view? Now if I move left, the camera move left. If I move right, the camera move right. If I go down, the camera goes down. It's like the point of view is like a pen follow plus the follow. Pen follow plus follow, because the pen follow, when you tilt down, the camera doesn't come with you. When you tilt down for the pen follow, the camera doesn't follow. But if you put on the follow mode, when you tilt down, the camera follows you. So the point of view is wherever you want the camera to view, the camera will do that. And outside of the point of view, you press once, it goes back to the pen follow. Let's take for example, pen follow, going down, the camera doesn't look down. See, the camera doesn't look down. You look up, the camera doesn't look up. Follow, you look down, the camera looks down. You look up, the camera looks up. So what next? We have over here, if you click the mode button twice, like 1, 2, 1, 2, we go to the go mode. And this go mode is a mode which you can use for sport. Like you're running, you're taking videos while you're running, and everything is remaining stable, you know. You run, you take a video, you turn left, it goes, you turn right, it follows you immediately. You turn left, it follows immediately. You see, it follows immediately when you turn. It doesn't waste some time. See, you see that? It turns immediately. And what next? We have the view mode. And now this is where, if you don't mount your device nicely, you face a difficulty. Now if you are on the go mode, you press the menu button, that's the menu button, the mode button twice, like we did to get to the go mode. If you have to press that twice, 1, 2, we go to the view mode, trying to make the camera to face the ceiling. Now this is unable to do this because the weight of the camera is too much. And that's why I was telling you, we have to mount the camera wrongly. See? Beep, beep, beep. Axis locked. You see? Axis locked. So you cannot access the view mode from here. Now what do? You turn off the gimbal and mount it, the camera on it properly. We turn off the gimbal. And how do we mount our camera now properly? Since we have our camera this way, now this is the point. The point on this axis should be stabilized here. Now you unbolt this to make it flexible, and what happened? You push this up. You see, the more I push up, it tries to turn the camera to the other side. You see? Now if I have to put the camera like this, you see, the camera is facing up. Now the camera is facing up horizontally straight. The front view of the camera is facing up horizontally, and you can see the camera is very much stable. Point, and at this point, you see that? Now you close this at this point for you to know that you stabilize your camera here. And if you put the camera this way, it doesn't go, right? Because most of the weight is faced up. Now you have to regulate under to make sure the bottom part is set nicely. Now since there's a lot of weight from behind, we push the camera in front. So we unbolt the camera from the slot, we push the camera in front to make sure we reduce the weight. There's a lot of weight in front, we push the camera a little bit behind. There's a lot of weight in front. There's a lot of weight in front. And this is the most tricky part, you know. This is the most tricky part, stabilizing the camera. Stabilizing the camera is the most tricky part, like what I said from the onset. Now we lock up the camera and we release this hand and try to push up the camera to this side. Now at this point, you can turn on the gimbal. Now when you turn on the gimbal, ooh, pen follow, nice. You see that? We pen follow to the left, it goes. To the right, it goes. We go to point of view, we go to the go mode. Go mode follows you directly. The go mode is so that if you are making any action, it goes with you directly. It doesn't waste some time. That's the reason for the go mode. See, if you are turning, the camera turns with you directly, immediately. See, to the left, to the right, down, up. You see? Now, we're going to the point of view. You see, we can rest the camera facing up at this point. Now, before we couldn't use the point of view. Now, if we click 1, 2, we are on the go mode. 1, 2, on the view mode. You see, V stands for view. V stands for view. Now, if we have to keep the camera here for 10 or 5 minutes, nothing will happen. But before, we couldn't keep for 2 seconds, and it will show us axis lock. Now, this is a trick. Because the second mounting of the camera, we had to put all the axes into place to make sure they are stable. And with this, what do? You can take a 360 video. With the view mode, you can take it next. You must always make sure you press the mode button. Mode, and we have here moto. You press the mode, the menu button, to see what motor you're using. So we have the menu button. Now we press the mode. If you see, you take the joystick to the right. Tap. So we have high, we have medium, we have low. So always make sure it's on the high if you are to use heavy devices like a mirrorless camera. So when it's on the high, the motor can acknowledge that they will have some strong movements because the device which is coming forth is a heavy device. So that's the part 2 of how you can use the gimbal. And next level, we will be talking about using the gimbal with the mobile phones. Thank you.